All right, so picture this. You've poured millions of dollars into AI, chasing the game-changing edge for your company, only now to watch it flop totally on its face. So why are so many smart companies betting so big on generative AI? Yet here on the channel, I've been warning you for a while that this wasn't going to end well. Now, I can tell you right now, the tech wasn't quite ready. LLMs are powerful and there's a lot we're gonna do with them, but it was nowhere near the hype that we've been hearing about, and too many C-suites bought into it. Now, I'm going to dive into today because MIT dropped the latest bombshell report, and this shows the cracks in the AI hype that we've been talking about here on this channel for over 18 months now. But this is going to start to shape things, and the market is starting to get wise to this. And so I'm a little scared on what's going to happen with the market right now, because the dot-com bubble burst wasn't really that fun of a time. I lived through it, and I'm a little terrified about what we're going to see with this bubble burst. But let's break through some of the brutal truth today and unpack some of this, because I want to dive into some of this latest MIT report with you guys today. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build software for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right, so that MIT report has really shaken things up, and the last few days on the market has been a bit rough. Now, it hasn't been a total sell-off, but we've definitely seen a significant drop in the market every day this week. So MIT report dropped and said 95% of all AI pilot projects crash before they even hit production. So it's like watching a rocket launch that fizzles out in midair. So let's break it down today, because we're going to open up some of these points, and I want to help you guys dodge some of these pitfalls in your own work, in your own dev work, and also for your own company. And if something hits home, make sure you drop a comment down below, because my absolute favorite thing is when you guys leave a comment down below. It really helps me out a ton, and I answer all of them personally. Now, enterprises are dumping $30 to $40 billion into generative AI this year alone, and I'm going to go through some of those numbers with you here in some of these reports. But this is a crazy, staggering thing. We've never seen so much be invested into so much of a hype. Even the dot-com era was nowhere near this. But MIT takes a deep dive into hundreds of projects and shows that only a teeny fraction, less than 5%, actually speed up revenue or cut costs, meaning they actually were productive. So startups nail it more often by zeroing in on tough spots and teaming up with sharp, whereas big firms are getting bogged down in messy rollouts. And part of this is because their data is not clean, right? So it's really almost kind of hilarious, because we've been talking about it for over a year on this channel. One of the first calls that I made on the .com on the AI bubble bursting was about 18 months ago. And yet, and I've tried to be saying it loudly, so I know a lot of you guys are gonna not be surprised, but I've had a fair number of naysayers come in and tell me how wrong I was. But let's not forget, this is really important, because after 25 years in software development, I've seen this rush, repeat, fail loop with every hot trend out there. So we saw something similar with Web3, where everybody thought it was going to change the internet. Now, AI here is no exception. So the fix is to start small with small LLMs, embed into these projects, and start to implement them into small projects in small and meaningful and measured ways. Skip the hype. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Now let's dive into this report right away, because I don't really want to even go any further until we kind of take a look at these. So MIT just proved why 90% of AI projects are failing and how design leaders could fix it. So it says this report here says the data is in. Nearly every AI implementation is stuck in what I call AI plus AI trap, where there's something happening and how to break free of it. So the Gen AI Divide, State of AI Business in 2025. So this report just dropped end of last week. But a new report published by MIT's NADA initiative reveals that 95% of generative AI pilot programs are failing to deliver measurable business impact. So despite billions in investments and endless headlines about transformation, nearly every enterprise AI initiative is stalling in the starting line. Now, guys, this is MIT talking about this, and almost every major news organization has picked this up. So MIT researchers interviewed 150 leaders, surveyed 350 employees, and analyzed 300 public AI deployments. So this is a pretty good sample size, because if you're talking about a public AI deployment, this is a real size. The pattern they found is stark. While about 5% of AI pilots achieve rapid revenue acceleration, so there is about 5%, The overwhelming majority deliver little to no measurable impact on P&L. Now, this is what Satya Nadella from Google was talking about when he said, Sundar Pichai, I'm going to quote both of them here, and that's what threw me off here. What Sundar Pichai talked about is he said that they've seen about a 10% productivity gain. That goes with about your 5%, right, at Google. Now, Google's like the king of engineering, so I would guess if anybody was going to get good at this, it would be Google. And so Satya Nadella from Microsoft said he wanted to see it actually affect revenue. That's where he said when he said that he saw that this would. Now, so this is the interesting part here. This is almost a quote from what Satya Nadella said 6-8 months ago, right? And we covered that here on my channel. But what's interesting about this is that I think they're really hitting the nail on the head. But here's the part you're expecting to hear. The problem isn't the AI models themselves. As MIT researchers explains, generic tools like ChatGPT excel for individuals because of their flexibility, but they stall an enterprise since they don't learn from or adapt to workflows. So here's the problem, folks, is what we've got here is ChatGPT is a really neat companion, or it's a really fancy party trick. But at the end of the day, if you need like consistent results. So when we're building engineering, you're building something that you want to work exactly the same way every single time. Now, AI is extremely powerful at pattern matching and other things, but it is non-deterministic. Now, that's its strength in one way because that's why we call it generative AI. But the problem is the fact that because it's always generating, you never know what the output's going to be. So one day you can do A plus B and get C, and the next day you can do A plus B equals bananas, right? Like you just don't know what you're going to get out of it. And that's the problem with it. And so let's go back to this report here. It says what 95% of failure rate actually looks like. So it says pilot purgatory. Organizations launch isolated AI experiments without systematic integration. So they'll give you a tool, be like, hey, go use this tool. And you'll be like, but it's not integrated into anything. And they're like, yeah, just use it anyways, right? Or they talk about resource misallocation, right? Over half of AI budget flow towards sales and marketing tools, while the biggest ROI sits in back office automation that nobody prioritizes strategically. So let me get this. You've got a technical backlog that's been sitting there for years and you don't have, enough resources, right? They're not going to hire enough developers for you to actually get at it. But all of a sudden, some fancy AI salesman comes in, CEO sees all these dollar signs, and he's going to spend tons of money on that instead of the actual real problems that you needed to solve. And that's what we're seeing over and over again, is they think this is going to be some new thing. Instead, they just need to go back to old-fashioned engineering. And if they put that same amount, see that biggest ROI here, right? That's the problem. The biggest ROI is actually in the back office automation. Surprise, good old-fashioned engineering, right? Now, the next one here is the build trap. Internal AI projects succeed only 1/3 as often as specialized vendor solutions, yet companies can keep insisting on proprietary systems that fail to deliver. So, let me rephrase this for you. If you hire a company like StartupHack to come in and build a very specialized system that's going to work with your systems and integrate your systems, connect them together, and possibly use AI agents to do a lot of the data analysis and processing, which is what we specialize on, these are what they're saying is working. Now, guys, I didn't write this article. This is my article. This is an MIT study, and this is somebody else's article. But like I'm telling you, I'm seeing the same thing. I'm having a lot of success in all of the AI work that we're doing, but I'm not using these off-the-shelf products. We're using old-fashioned engineering standards, building things, and then using LLMs and machine learning to power things in intelligent ways. But I'm telling you, even with a lot of these LLMs, we're having to put things through 3 and 4 system checks in order to trust it. However, when it works, it's pretty amazing, but it does take tons of guardrails. Next one here, integration breakdown. Without designing the behavioral coherence from start, AI features become disconnected tools that users work around rather than with. I've heard it said that you need infrastructure architecture before you need AI. So you need IA before AI. So the problem here is what's happening is that somebody comes in with AI and they're like, we got this thing called AI. Let's find a problem to meet this solution, right? And they're not looking at the other way around. They actually need to go find the problem and find a real solution that fits it. Instead, they come in with the solution and say, let's go find a problem, right? It's like running around with a hammer and say, where's the nails it hit? Where's the nails it hit? Where's the, Instead, you're like, dude, we use all screws and rivets, right? There's no nails. And so this is kind of the problem that we're seeing in organizations, whereas good old-fashioned engineering is what is really mostly needed. Now, they talk about how to do this, and I kind of alluded to this a little bit about how to have some of the 5% success. But the problem is that the C-suite is just seeing the dollar signs in this, right? So tools like ChatGPT shine for solo users, cranking out quick ideas, but they flop in company settings because they don't hold on to context or tweak based on feedback, right? Workers ditch these systems fast when outputs go wonky on sensitive tasks, leaving pilots stuck in demo land. Now, the bigger problem here is there's budget blunders, right? Over half the cash flow to sales and marketing gimmicks because they're easy to sell upstairs, but the real wins hire in boring back office stuff, right? Like the kind of stuff that we build here at Startup Hack for people. Now, MIT's data screams that operational automation pays off quicker, but execs chase the quick, shiny thing, especially if it has the initials AI on it. And that's what we're seeing over and over here. So, there's been a couple of other interesting news articles about this, right? And this has been part of what we've been feeling this week. IVE says skeptics of tech rally will be proven wrong again, right? S&P fell yesterday, so this was on the 20th. Pulled down by big tech stocks as traders dumped AI names. Skeptics of tech rally will be proven wrong again. I've said an analyst this morning. The tech bull market, in our view, is fueled by the biggest biggest transformational tech spending cycle in the last 40 years, the AI revolution. Guys, I'm not the only one saying it here. This is an absurd amount of spending that we are seeing on it. Now, NVIDIA did tick back up today, and so this is pretty interesting, but IVES expects the tech bull cycle to be well intact for at least 2 to 3 more years. We view tech sell-off like yesterday as opportunities to the core winners, right? Now, adding AI to your company name, so this is also on the 20th, says right now it could be more of a curse, right? And so some of the bigger companies, we're starting to see some of the hits on AI, right? And so they're starting to see some of the drops in some, over the last couple of days in some of the big AI names. And it's kind of interesting right now. Pretty much everybody's trying to slap a .ai onto their name. But firms are just wasting money here, ending up with pilots that look really good, but deliver absolutely nothing to the bottom line. So while officials' projects tank, employees sneak in personal tools like Claude at over 90% of the firms, boosting their own output quietly. So that's what's really interesting about this. While only 40% of companies buy proper licensing, this creates the underground economy that actually has driven hidden gains. So MIT calls it a thriving shadow scene where real workarounds show what enterprise tools are missing, like memory across sessions, right? Imagine your team hacking better results on the sly. It's both genius and a little bit of a security nightmare, because the problem here is that whereas 90% of the people are using unofficial licenses, this means that your corporate data is walking out the door through ChatGPT, Claude, and other tools, right? Now, internal custom builds succeed more than the non-custom builds, right? And MIT's interviews revealed that blending insider know-how with outside smarts compress timelines and skip downfalls. And that's what I was trying to say earlier. Here at Startup Hack, we're having a lot of success. Every single client project we are on right now is implementing AI in some portion of the project, because we're not using off the shelf. We're learning how the principles of AI and the LLMs and how they work, and we're implementing them where it makes sense. I.e., we have a problem and we're finding a solution that matches the problem. We're not running around with a solution trying to find a problem, right? Again, that image of Wreck-It Ralph running around going, I got something, I need to smash something, That's what a lot of these execs are with AI right now. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, reach out to us, because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to make your company work to maximum efficiency. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer. Now, MIT stresses that without memory and without feedback loops, even top models are staying sidelined. So winners demand that vendors prove ongoing tweaks on real data. And that's why we see things like Cursor and some of these other coding tools working, because they are building in that memory, right? And that works really well for programming, because a lot of times code maybe proprietary, but it's not going to actually contain like customer data. So it's fairly safe to insert code snippets, right? Now, firms rush AI without the skill to integrate it. And that's another big problem. They go buy this AI tool and then be like, well, you should just be able to plug it in. Well, generally speaking, most AI projects are requiring a large amount of development work to get it to work. So that's what I was talking about earlier. You got to have infrastructure, architecture, or IA, before you have AI. So the cultural pushback from IT worries over risk to HR frets on training gaps are totally tanking adoption. MIT notes that decentralizing control to teams boosts success, ditching single gatekeepers, right? Now, real shifts treat AI as company-wide cultural workouts, not just as a tech add-on. So slapping AI on a product spikes stocks. So the AI products, like we talked about before, are starting to really tank, right? And that's what we're going to see over and over. Now, there's global rules like EU's AI Act, and they're going to reshape what's feasible, and they're catching a lot of people off guard. And there's a lot of security concerns and other regulatory concerns that are coming back for people. Now, execs who greenlit billions are now grilling teams on missing returns. So C-suite comes in, has paid millions of dollars for this AI suite. A year later, they come back and be like, why aren't y'all more productive now, right? And surprise, the actual integration was a flop. So without clear KPIs from day one, without actually knowing what you're purchasing and implementing, you've got to make sure that you're building into your existing system so that it's helping you connect systems. If that's not what it's doing, it's absolutely a waste of time and money. So we want to show demand proof in dollars, not demos. And that's where we're having the problem here. The demos are the hype, and it's not actually proving out into dollars in the organizations. Now, I love to hear your guys' take, because you guys giving me comments is what really boosts me up. It gives me energy. I get a good laugh. You guys are giving me laughs every single day. Now, I saw one the other day that said, fake it until you make it, or until the VC money dries up. And that's exactly what's going on here, right? Bulls like Dan Ives are called skepticals wrong, betting on AI's long haul past tech waves. So saying this another way, when the dot-com bubble burst, the internet is what came out of it, right? So it's, by saying the bubble is going to burst does not mean that the tech is going to go away. And I have people asking me all the time, well, what's going to happen when OpenAI goes away? Really, truly, OpenAI is at such a large scale at this point, their failure is not going to be them going away. It's going to be them becoming irrelevant. I think they're going to have to probably 20x customer expense, or the cost of the product, right? 20x the cost of the customer in order to even be able to begin to break even, because eventually their gravy train will dry up. VCs will get smart and stop feeding them money. And so while there is still years ahead of this, it's not like AI is going to go away. The hype scale is going to go down. Just today, I was trying to use Claude for something, and it kept timing out, and it started telling me, and at first it just kept crashing, and it was really obnoxious. It kept crashing and crashing and crashing. And then finally it popped and said, you've met your limit for today, right? So I'm on the $20 per month model. And the funny thing about it is, because I'd tried it 4 or 5 times on one thing, and it was a fairly large research piece, but because I'd tried it 4 or 5 times, it is actually counting those tokens against me, even though it was crashing, and then came back and said, nope, you've hit your limit today. Well, I mean, I had to go over to Gemini, which I'm also paying for, and Grok, which I'm also paying for, because I do a lot of research for you guys here. So I want to make sure I stay up on the know on these products. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm like, I'm an AI realist, as I've said over and over again. But, Claude is my go-to for certain things. And so I know what each of the different AI's skill sets are. But it was a frustrating day when I needed Claude to do this thing and it wouldn't do it. And that's where we kind of are getting to. And I try to even be careful myself to make sure I'm not becoming too reliant on these. Because that's where we need to start, right? We need to start where we start looking at this, and we look at MIT's playbook here, right? We need to make sure that we are working on AI projects that are going to affect the bottom line. We need to build we need to buy to learn fast, build only when you absolutely need to. But in most cases, when you start to build to fit your company's exact need, you're going to get a better result. And that's what the MIT study is teaching us. Now, you want to measure everything against actual real revenue. You don't want to just build something so you can check the box for AI. You want to ditch generic systems and make sure it's using systems that are tailored for your company. This mindset is going to be how you turn AI failures into those 5% AI wins. And if your company has systems that aren't connected, reach out, because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work to maximum efficiency, like the MIT report's talking about here. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer, because we'd love to help you. Now, as always, my favorite thing is when you guys leave a comment down below. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know what your thoughts are on the MIT's research and what your thoughts are on this market. What does it mean if a bubble is going to burst? What do you think about MIT's research here? Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers as well as build custom software solutions for companies. And here's some great information about our service.
Hi, I'm Spencer, a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and 25 years in software development, I've transformed technology teams and products for businesses just like yours. As your fractional CTO, you get the strategic guidance of a seasoned technology executive without the full-time commitment. Perfect for companies ready to leverage cutting-edge technology without expanding headcount. My team at Startup Hack has already built advanced AI agents for small and medium businesses, automating complex workflows and delivering advanced ROI to human workflows. We specialize in creating custom software that connects your systems into a single coherent technology ecosystem. Our development approach focuses on tangible business outcomes. For one client, we developed AI-powered workflows that cut days off of human processes. For another company, by connecting multiple systems, we reduced processing time to increase their ROI by over 75%. We don't just write code, we architect solutions that scale. Whether you need cloud system architecture, data integration between legacy systems, or custom AI agents that automate your unique business processes, my team delivers results that exceed your expectations. Having led technology for a lot of companies and launched 7 successful brands of my own, I bring battle-tested expertise to your business challenges. Our specialty is turning technological complexity into business advantage. So if you're ready to harness the power of AI and custom software to drive your business forward, let's connect. Together, we'll build technology that doesn't just solve today's problems, it positions you for tomorrow's opportunities. Technology leadership, decades of experience, AI powered. Reach out today and we can help you. Check out startuphack.com/Spencer.